see you, Steve.
Let's jump right into this. Path to Progress is a report that has been researched, submitted, and now says, what are the keys to fiscal health in New Jersey?
Well, look, there's several.
But you started this whole thing.
Well, yeah, I just asked a bunch of experts, basically the best New Jersey has, not partisan in any way at all, just experts. How do we fix what's wrong? And they came up with, 200 recommendations. We whittled it down to, I think it's 36 or 27. I forget the number now. It's been a little while. But it's hitting at the things that we all know need to be done, but they're the hard things.
Top of the list.
Pension reform, healthcare reform, school consolidation, things that we've talked about for years that is now to a point, these are the big things that have to get done in order to save billions of dollars for taxpayers. Because New Jersey's biggest problem is cost. And without addressing the problems, we're just going to keep pouring money in it. And looking for new taxes to raise without fixing the structural problems doesn't work.
By the way, if you're listening to us on the audio side, Senator Steve Sweeney, Senate President Steve Sweeney is with us on State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. Question is this. New Jersey's fiscal health, one of the issues that you and the governor disagree on is that he believes strongly that in order to strengthen the fiscal health of the state, we need to, in fact, increase taxes on those who earn the most money. After $1 million, every dollar is taxed more. He says if we don't do that, we're not going to have money for a lot of the programs that people want.
He's wrong because those are the people that can leave, and after the federal salt, the
state and local tax deduction with President Trump, the federal law.
Yes.
Cap at 10 grand, that's it.
Yeah.
State income tax, property taxes, more than that, you're on your own.
Exactly.
Can't write it off. Go ahead.
So now you have a population that's just got hit with another tax because people didn't mind paying them as much because they wrote them off. Now they can't. And my point is, if you want to talk about revenue raisers, fix the structural problems first, then you'll know what you need. And then if you have to talk about taxes, then talk about them. But without fixing what's wrong in New Jersey, and this is where I am really frustrated with the governor that wrote a report when Dick Cody was the governor.
Let's make it clear, Senator Dick Cody, then acting governor, Dick Cody, he had a commission that looked at the pension situation, and Governor Murphy at the time, private citizen, did what?
He chaired it and wrote the report that said we needed dramatic change, that this wasn't sustainable. That was back in 2004.
You're talking about the pension and health care situation with public employees.
Steve, back then, the deficit was $11 billion. Today, the pension deficit's over $100 billion, it's about 150, and 115. And our healthcare, retiree healthcare deficit is over $100 billion. So now we're about 220 billion, not million, in the hole. So you can't raise taxes enough to fill that hole.
When does the bill come due?
The bill's coming due now, and if we don't fix the pension soon, by 2023, you're going to have a $4 billion deficit in New Jersey.
In the budget?
Yeah, without a reset, without a recession. So if I give you the millionaire's tax, right? If I give you the millionaire's tax.
What does it bring in?
It's inflated the number they use, but I'll give it to them, $536 million.
And increased revenue to the state. Go ahead.
If no one leaves. So, okay, I'll give it to them, 536. What about the other $2.5 billion? Steve, we can't raise taxes to get us out of this. We need to make structural reforms. Listen, I want to make sure teachers have good pensions. Same with all public employees. But other states, 12 other states in this country, have changed their pension structure.
Well, we have to, but respectfully, Senate President Steve Sweeney with us on State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. A few years ago, didn't you, together with Republican Governor Chris Christie, work on this, and there was pension reform?
It wasn't enough, though, Steve. That's the problem. We did what we could get done, because these are big things. Like I said, these are things you talk about forever, and it's very rare you do. If we don't do this, Oregon just did it. Portland, Oregon, the state of Oregon, just changed their pension system. Democrat governor, Democrat legislature, both houses.
What do you mean change? Be specific.
Well,
like what? Be specific as to what needs to be done.
In 2003, they went to a hybrid system, which was so much like the first 40,000, this is what we're proposing, is a pension. Anything above that is basically annuity. Like, we're going to take a percentage of your income, put it in annuity, invest it.
That's what Oregon has.
Isn't that risky with the stock market being so volatile?
No, because when you do, listen, when you're doing, if it's, I won't call it a 401k. I'm calling it an annuity.
Some do, but go ahead.
But I won't for one reason, because there's no match. So if you're doing, and that's what the other states do, but you don't put it in high risk. You know, I deal with annuities all the time.
In your work, and
as an iron worker.
Yes, and who deals with that union very directly.
And we all have annuities to supplement the pensions. But this way, you start to change, Steve. You start to move the process. If we do it today, 30 years from now, it'll be fixed. But if we don't do it, in Oregon, when they did it, their pension funding dropped from 90% to 80%. And the governor and the legislature made changes to it again, legislatively. We're in like the high 30s. We're almost bankrupt, and people don't realize it.
You use that word sometimes, and is that the right word, or
Yes.
is that hyperbole, an exaggeration?
It's not an exaggeration. If we continue the course we're going to be bankrupt. And here's the bigger problem. We can't fund anything, Steve. Everything has to go to pension and health care now. Everything. You know, when you look at this budget, you know, we're squeezing pennies here and there to do additional things. If the pension system had not been played with, starting with the Whitman administration, the pension payment would have been $800 million.
When you say played with, either not put money into or taking money out, go ahead.
Bonding, and then government's not funding.
Right.
And but look, there was a little secret to that one.
I shouldn't say taking money out. It wasn't taken out, but
It was bonded. They bonded the pension. But what else they did, Steve, what else they did was there was a wink and a nod when the pension payments weren't being made. I was there. I watched it. And I was like, what are you guys going to do with your pension?
What did they think was going to happen when the bill came due?
Well, the problem is they weren't going to be there. The people that made these decisions, the people that are here today
Yes.
are not the ones that made the decisions. So I don't blame
But you and the governor and the other legislators down, other state leaders, it's your job to, quote, deal with it.
That's where we are.
So let me ask you, say it doesn't happen. What does it mean for the average citizen in New Jersey, not a policymaker, not an insider, not somebody who follows what's going on in the state capitol every day? What would it mean to their lives?
They're going to have to find ways to raise taxes, whether it's increased sales taxes. Look, if the pension system goes broke and we have to start paying out $6 billion a year, and we're not far from that. You know, there's zones like a green, yellow, and red when you're in trouble with pensions. We're in the 30s, high 30s, and it keeps dropping as we keep putting more money into it. So, Steve, it's one of these things that it's not working. No matter how much money we will continue to fund our full obligation, knowing a recession's coming.
Say a recession's coming. Could it mean, Senate President Sweeney, that fewer state dollars to public schools in your community? Could it mean that?
Absolutely.
Could it mean fewer dollars for women's health care services?
All across the board.
Fewer dollars for infrastructure projects?
Well, no, we dedicated
You got the transportation trust fund. Yeah,
but,
with
but how about
transportation
higher
trust fund.
education, where we have the second most expensive
So there
higher
been real cuts
education
there.
system? Oh, yeah. Everyone's going to have to take a cut because there's no funding for anything.
By the way, real quick, switch gears on this. It's a fiscal issue as well. You and the governor appear to be at loggerheads on this. There are several institutions